In Pasuk 7 we are told that the Eretz Migureihem, referring to Eretz Canaan, was not able to laseit otam, to support them both, mipnei mikneihem, in providing the needs for their herds, and for this reason Esav relocated from Canaan to Edom. We have discussed at length the commentary of Rashi to the words V'lo yachla eretz megoreihem, that lahaspik mir'eh lebehemot shalahem, to provide a sufficient amount of grazing land for their animals. And this brings us to question 3, in that Rashi, in paraphrasing from the Chumash text, refers to the herds as the behemot, rather than retaining the term used by the Chumash text, mikneh. The Rebbe will maintain in the SICHAH that this change in terminology has a bearing on Rashi's understanding of the statement v'lo yachla eretz migureihem, and hence was done with intent. But first, a short digression. In one respect, the words behemah and mikneh are synonymous and very often are used interchangeably. However, when one does a search for the use of the word behemah in Sefer Bereshit, we will notice that it is used 17 times, virtually all limited to the first 2 parshiot. This contrasts to the use of the word mikneh, in which we have 18 instances, all bar 1, interspersed throughout the remaining parshiot of this Sefer. And therefore it would be fair to assume that while on the one hand they appear to be synonymous, there are also basic differences depending on the context in which these 2 words are used. One possibility is that the word behemah is used when there is a need to distinguish between the various subcategories of the animal kingdom, as for example in Bereshit 1:26, in which God makes a decision to Naaseh Adam b'tzalmenu kidmotenu, we shall make man in our image, v'yirdu, and he will be given the right to rule in the sense of making use of the lower forms of life on the food chain. We then have a list of 4 categories, beginning with the Degat Hayam, followed by the Of Hashamayim, category 3 Behemah, and ending with the reptiles of the land. And this pattern seems to be repeated throughout Parashat Bereshit and Noach, where the use of the word behemah comes as a subcategory and contrast to other subsections of the animal kingdom. The shoresh of the word mikneh is kufnun hey, to gain possession, to purchase, to obtain, and its usage is synonymous with the accumulation of wealth, which in the days of the Avot that would have expressed itself with the ownership of large herds of cattle, sheep, and other livestock. In that context, we are not distinguishing between the various components of the animal kingdom, and therefore the generic term mikneh is used, primarily as a reference to one's wealth and possessions. In light of the fact that these 2 terms can be used interchangeably, one might argue that the change in terminology by Rashi was necessary and thereby justified in order to define the term mikneh as referring to one's livestock, thereby removing question 3. To this the Rebbe in the SICHAH responds that this line of thinking would be valid were this the first time that the Torah text uses the word mikneh. In actuality, it's the 12th time, and in not one of the previous 10 instances where the term mikneh is used does Rashi feel the need to define mikneh as behemah. And if there is a need to define mikneh as herds of cattle and sheep, that definition should have, and in fact is, provided by Rashi to the very first time that the word mikneh is used by the Chumash text, in Bereshit 4, Pasuk Chaf. As such, question 3 of the set of 4 raised by the Rebbe still stands.